What is up? I don't know why I did it like drama alert. But this video, I figured out what I was going to do. I got a comparison video still to shoot. So by now, I'm sure all of you have heard about what happened with Azura. Like, I still have Argenta in the bag. Oh, the snake's out of the bag. But, sure all of you have heard by now, because with how things should be uploading. I should have uploaded before this one. If not, or if you just haven't watched that video, she passed, sadly. And I mentioned I wasn't going to, obviously, for obvious reasons, be able to compare a Pastel Axanthic to an Axanthic if I no longer have an Axanthic. So, this comparison video is going to actually compare different things for different reasons, which is pretty much this comparison video is exactly what I was going to do, minus Azura not being present for it. But, hi. I will give you some nice close-up shots. Actually, I'll just move this in here because there's going to be a lot of... I'll keep the bag on here because a lot of the snakes like nuzzling this. But this bag really does not help her color show. Oops. Oh well, we're going with it. So we're gonna... Please stay on the table. We're gonna adjust the camera angle here. Just because I want to make sure you guys can see the snakes well. Because I don't really need to be in a comparison video. Because I'm not the one being compared. So, that'd be weird. But, no, not in the pens. Not in the pens. I don't want you getting poked or anything. But, here is Azura. Not Azura. Oh, God. I was doing so well with that. Argenta. This is Argenta. Now, she is a Pastel Axanthic, Paws Het Toffee Belly. Which Paws Het just means she potentially carries the genes, but I'm going to have to test it out. I originally got her as a mate for Tiber, but since he hasn't been eating, he even isn't accepting scented food, which I'm going to, after filming this, film a video on the purpose of scenting, because you will hear me mention it frequently with hog noses. Just because he's not eating a lot, he isn't growing, obviously, because if you're not taking in any food, you're not going to grow. So, she's growing really well, and so is Percy, so that is going to be kind of the new thing, especially since now the main female for Percy was, you know, Azura. Things obviously aren't going to work there. So, still revitalizing my snow project with what I've got, but then I'm also going to be able to make pastels, because it is a dominant trait. So, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember if I mentioned that already, but, so in this comparison video, we are first going to compare her to, yeah, I'll do normal first. Because I'm also just excited to get pastels. Pastels, I was talking to the breeder who I got Azura from, or not, Argenta, who I got Argenta from. I swear I was doing so good with this. Who I got Argenta from, and she, and I can totally agree, pastel is kind of underappreciated here in the U.S. Jeff Goldblatt, I know, has some pastels, which is good, because now I have another breeder who I can get pastels from. There are even some breeders that are skeptical as to whether it's actually hereditary or not, like it's a recessive or dominant instead of like a line-bred trait, which line-bred, I'll get into all that actually in another video I'll film tonight as well. Because I now have a line-bred animal, and I now have recessive and dominant traits. So I can now kind of show the full spectrum of colors in terms of hereditary. So, or hereditability. I hope that's a word. But so, also just to show you guys the huge size difference between these two. Now, age does not mean anything for these hog noses, and this is also something I was made apparent to me by a breeder who had a snake that was way older than a much younger snake, but was also like a third of the size. Now, coming around this time of year, she will be 2, I think, right? Has it already been that long, or is it only going to be a year? Yeah, no, she'll be 2, because I got Talos in November. Oh, wait a minute. That was this... Oh, wait, that was this last November. So yeah, she'll be coming up on 2. I think. Yeah, she'll be coming up on 2. Okay, I was just double checking. But she's 2. Argenta isn't even 1 yet. So, as you can see, but Argenta has been feeding like crazy. So you can just see the size differences. And neither of them are unhealthy, which is the ironic part. It's just feeding differences. So, but as you can see with them side by side, you can tell that there's xanthism in there. Because Argenta is that silvery gray color, which is hence why I named her Argenta. Because Argent means silver, or argentum is silver in Latin, and then argent is money in French. So, and then I've been playing Doom Eternal a lot still, and there's a race in there called the Argentaner. Well, Argentaner is a planet, and I'm trying to remember, the Night Sentinels are part of the race. It was I need to review my lore of the game, but as you can see, she's a very silvery tone. But those of you who remember what Azura looks like, she is so much brighter. Like the tip of her tail is white. That is the pastel. That is why I'm so excited to work with the pastel. And so this kind of shows the difference between a snake with pastel and a snake without it. As you can see, Argenta has these like sort of white blushing. This sort of white blushing in the middle of her saddles and her splotches, whereas Andromeda is completely lacking the blushing in the center of those. And it is something I find very interesting, and if it can make an Axanthic this exuberant and this bright, I want to see what it does to other morphs. So, she pretty much solidified pastel in the place of my heart, as well as in the place of all of my now breeding projects, because I now really crave the pastel gene. Because it really it's an enhancement morph. It really just enhances color. Now, obviously, because a lot of people like to do stuff like this where they'll claim something's pastel just to upcharge a regular looking snake. With this, I wholeheartedly can say that these are quality line pastels. You can totally tell that she's pastel. And I'm just so excited to work with her in the coming years, because she's growing at such a fast rate. I might be able to breed her next breeding season. It all comes down to her weight. So, and with my Western hognoses, I'm not rushing into breeding at all. My tricolors are my more short term, or they were. So, but hopefully next season, because Percy's breeding size for a male. So it comes down to having a female ready for him. And Argenta's pretty close, I'd say, at the rate she's currently growing. But you can see just there's a big difference between a normal and an Axanthic and a pastel and a normal. And so to have the two in the same snake next to just a completely normal Western hognose, no line breeding or anything, it's kind of apparent there's differences. Like here you can see the blushing, which I think the blushing shows up a little bit better on camera than it does in person sometimes. And in film anyways, because in pictures it shows up nicely, but people don't know what I'm talking about. But you can see it clearly here. But now, for the next... Oh, she's doing a little twitch. I recently found out what this twitch is, which I'll explain that in a hognose behavior video that I'm going to be working on. But I have so many plans for videos. But, the scenting video and I think hognose behavior will be tonight in the same batch of filming. But so I'm going to put Andromeda away, my sassy normal, which will also be nice when, or like whenever I actually manage to catch a Mexican hognose, because then I'll be able to compare what a normal Western hognose looks like, but it's captive bred. because I personally feel for some reason that captive breds look different than wild caughts. And I don't know if that's just a stigma I have, or I'm just like, oh, well, captive bred ones are going to look a lot cleaner, or if it's just because of so many years of breeding them, they actually look cleaner. I don't know. That's something I got to figure out. But the next one will be a little bit surprising, but probably not if you've watched my comparison for Azura. It's going to be Talos. Because, in all honesty, the Arctic gene and a Pastel Axanthic look so similar to me. Like, I think that the Pastel really accentuates the white in grays to the point where I think it makes it look almost like an Arctic. And to me, that is just crazy, because for two genes, one recessive and one dominant, I can get similar colors to an incomplete dominant trait. But these two are just so similar looking, and weirdly enough, I'm probably going to end up breeding these two at some point as well, just because of these intense grays. I think it's really pretty, and I want to see what happens, because Talos has these sort of green, like this olivey green. That just doesn't sound right, but at the same time, she's trying to instigate mating. But it also going to be another thing I recently found out. But he also just has all these sorts of different colors going on, but they're all kind of like darker and almost black. But then she's just this really bright gray, and I kind of want to see what a Pastel Arctic looks like. So I'm going to be breeding these two together, and I should have a chance of Arctic pastels. Then on top of that, there's also down the line of breeding back to parents and stuff, of getting Arctic Pastel Axanthics. I have no clue what those will look like, but boy am I hyped to try it. Because from what I've heard, it'll make a very clean looking Axanthic, but then adding the pastel will make a very bright colored Axanthic. But as you can see, you can tell that both of these genes are Axanthic type genes. They both really reduce all the colors but grays, blacks, and whites. So I just think these animals are gorgeous. I don't know what it is about gray snakes. I just think they're so flippin' cool. Also, ignore this right here. I just realized that's still there. It's work related, but yeah, these two snakes, I can't wait to try to breed them, because they're going to produce some interesting looking offspring. So little Talos here is going to be, actually both the females that have been in this video, I want to breed him to at some point, because Arctic, since it is incomplete dominant, it acts as like a dominant, but then there's also a super form. So it is easily reproduced. And so I'm just excited about that. And then pastels are something that I'm excited about. So Pastel Arctics, I'm really going to try to shoot for. Which was something I never even thought of or considered in the past until I got Argenta here. But there is that comparison. But since I'm only going to really compare to a normal and something that looks similar, just to show that there are differences in the color palette, that's pretty much it, because I don't see the point in comparing it to an albino, because I've already done that with Azura. I've already shown the difference between an Axanthic and an albino. So next time, because I know that at some point I'm going to get pastel albinos, either through buying them or through producing them, because I've seen pictures of them and I think they're really cool. And if they look half as good as this, it'd be well worth my money. So, and then also, pastel toffee bellies are another one that I'm going to be looking at. So, because I'm shooting for those snows and those toxics, but now I'm shooting for those pastel snows and toxics. So I'm trying to keep my scope relatively small. Arctic was just a gene I couldn't pass up, because it is, for hognoses, my all-time favorite. So Super Arctics are really my favorite. So combining them with anything, they look nice. So that is why I got Talos. I caved at the expo that I wasn't supposed to get anything because I could not pass up an Arctic at such a good price. And then, you know, she was just a really pretty snake, and I needed a female with potential toffee belly genetics. And now that's not even going to matter for my breeding plan, but my goal at some point is to get all the genes that I have for my hognoses combined. So that's pretty much it for this video. I compared to the two morphs that I felt should have been compared to, which I'll keep both of them in shot for now. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video when I talk about scenting and the importance of it, which should be a shorter video, I'd hope. So I'll see you guys in the next one. If I can figure out where the button is. Jeez, I'm so out of practice. Okay, now I'll see you guys in the next one.